welcome you all, give you a quick introduction as to how this webinar is going to be conducted and things like that. So in case if you guys have trouble hearing me or looking into the screen through the webinar, get in touch with the panelists. They are ready to help you out anytime. For any questions, use the Q&A section in the webinar window and type in your message and then click broadcast message. It will pop up as a question. The question and the questions will be handled towards the end of the session. And thank you all again. I once again welcome you all to this webinar. Today's topic is going to be 360 ITSM, and it's a no-brainer that I'm going to talk about ServiceDesk Plus and its integrations. To the larger audience here who are familiar with ServiceDesk Plus, the next couple of slides is going to be a recap of what you already know. And to the rest of the audience who are new to ServiceDesk Plus, the next couple of slides is going to be an eye-opener as to how ServiceDesk Plus can be effective in managing your business operations, IT operations, and how all the ITIL practices can be implemented effectively so as to bring in the necessary efficiency in your day-to-day activities. ServiceDesk Plus is an ITIL-ready help desk and asset management solution, which has got the best practice ITSM workflows. So here, when I say ITIL and ITSM, it boils down to the number of functions that we have in ITIL. We have incident management, problem change, service catalog, CMDB, asset management, project management, and release management, and much more. It has got powerful integrations with other IT management apps, most popularly from other ManageEngine solutions. And that is going to be the focus of today's webinar. And it has got smart automation. Automation here, let me give you some examples. You can automatically assign technicians to tickets which come in to the system. It can be assigned either through round robin or load balancing technique. In case if your technicians have violated the SLA, the response time or the resolution time, it can automatically be assigned to the next level of technician. So there's going to be SLA escalation here, which is done automatic without human interference. And in case if you have to send out surveys to your users in order to do continual service improvement, you can send out ad hoc surveys or surveys after every ticket is closed from the ServiceDesk Plus console. So these are certain examples which come to the top of my mind when I have to talk about automation, and there are much more capabilities, much more automation concepts here. There's extensive reporting capabilities in ServiceDesk Plus, and I'm sure people who are familiar with ServiceDesk Plus, they know how easy it is to get reports out of ServiceDesk. And we also have published the database schema, which if you are good at SQL, you will be able to understand the schema well, and then you can write your own SQL statements for reports. There are codeless customizations. Here again, the larger audience who have been with ServiceDesk Plus for long, they know how easy it is to create templates. It's just drag and drop functionality for creating incident templates or service catalog templates and much more. And the best part of this one is you don't need any coding language. You don't have to know anything about HTML or JSS or JavaScript or CSS or XHTML, whatever it is. So you don't have to know any of these coding languages to get those customizations done into ServiceDesk. Lastly, the biggest advantage is you can either deploy it on cloud or on-premise, and there's going to be seamless transfer from on-premise to on-cloud. In case if you guys are interested to move from on-premise to on-cloud, do reach out to us. On a case-by-case basis, we will be able to help you transfer all the data from on-premise to on-cloud. And now, Let me introduce the 3 different editions of ServiceDesk Plus, which is Standard, Professional, and Enterprise. The Enterprise has got all the ITIL features. So it has got incident, problem, change, release, project, service catalog, asset management, and CMDB. And the Standard and Professional editions are cut-down versions of this Enterprise. The reason why I had to put in this slide is in case if you guys are on a lower edition of ServiceDesk Plus, and if you are willing to streamline your activities based on ITIL or ITIL, however you call it. So if you're planning to streamline your activities based on ITIL, then Enterprise Edition would be the right fit for you. And if you're already on Standard and Professional, you may also have a question if I have to reconfigure everything, if I have to move to the Enterprise. It is absolutely not. So the answer is no. It's just a license which is going to help you move from Standard or Professional to the Enterprise. So you don't have to worry about your data, you don't have to reconfigure things, and everything is going to be seamless for you. And the Standard Edition is just the help desk software. It has got incident and knowledge-based management, whereas the Professional Edition has got the help desk and asset management. And without further delay, let me just dive into the topic for today's webinar, which is the 360 ITSM. And ServiceDesk Plus is considered as the command center or the IT control center for your IT operations. So it has got integrations with Active Directory management, end user password reset, IT operations and applications management to monitor your data center infrastructure, your network infrastructure, and application and database infrastructure. It has got the biggest integration with desktop management. Reason why I say the biggest integration with desktop is all your help desk activities are centered around desktops, laptops, workstations, and much more. So how easy it is to get all the workstations and laptops into ServiceDesk Plus is also a major concern for organizations. So that is the reason why I say I always keep telling in all my webinars and seminars that ServiceDesk Plus and Desktop Central go hand in hand, and that is the biggest integration that you can get to achieve the maximum benefits and ROI. Lastly, you can get deep insights into how the IT is performing using advanced analytics, which is the business intelligence reporting and dashboard software from ManageEngine. So let's first start with the biggest integration, which is desktop management. So what can you do with desktop management? Before I proceed with what can you do with desktops, let me just talk about the diagram that you see on the bottom of the screen, where it says there's a communication between ServiceDesk Plus server and Desktop Central server. So you have all the agents deployed for Desktop Central. So Desktop Central is an agent-based model. So all the agents have to be deployed on workstations or laptops, and these communicate with the Desktop Central server on a regular basis. And whatever data is there in Desktop Central server will automatically be synchronized with ServiceDesk Plus server. So it's an automatic synchronization. It's just a one-time configuration that you have to do for both ServiceDesk and Desktop Central. So you have to specify the URL and the port on which the ServiceDesk or Desktop Central runs either way. And you have to specify the API key, and the integration is done. So what can you do with Desktop Central? You can manage patches. Patches is the biggest thing or the first and foremost thing that comes to my mind. The reason is all the vulnerabilities that the world has seen have been reported only on softwares, and all that you can do to remove these vulnerabilities is to add a patch to the existing software. So patch management comes as the first and foremost thing to my mind when I have to talk about desktop management. So you can manage patches for 250 plus third-party applications and Microsoft applications as well. There's an automated deployment task which will help you deploy patches to workstations and laptops. You can test and deploy these patches. You don't have to deploy patches as and when they are getting released. So you may have a policy or a procedure which says you have to test the patches on X number of workstations for N number of days. And only if this has been successful, then you want to deploy to all other workstations in your organization. So that kind of provision is available in desktop management, in Desktop Central. You will also be able to install or uninstall softwares. Software installation is going to be easier, and uninstallation is also going to be easier through Desktop Central. We also have OS imaging and deployment, so you can have images for specific teams and then have the softwares built into the images. Then you can deploy these images at one go, and you can also add some security layer for installing the operating systems by adding a passcode. Most importantly, you can remotely control the workstations and laptops through Desktop Central. The biggest advantage that you get with this remote control is that it's a web-based remote control, and so you don't need any external agent or a plugin to enable this remote control. You can chat with the user, you can enable user privacy. So without user confirmation, you cannot take control over his desktops. It has got multi-monitor support. Multiple technicians can join this remote control for learning purposes. And finally, all the activities done using the remote control agent will be recorded for audit and learning purposes. If you are looking at DLP, data leakage prevention, the first step towards data leakage prevention is USB device management. That is possible through Desktop Central. One quick example that comes to my mind here when I have to talk about USB device management is that in certain organizations, you want to completely block all the USB devices except for one specific vendor, say, let's say SanDisk. So that kind of configuration is possible using Desktop Central. And lastly, you can have a whole bunch of configurations done on workstations and laptops over and above what you can do through GPO. Say, for example, you want to change the environmental variable registry settings, configure firewall policies, or you may have to push logon scripts, or you want to manage the extensions and plugins on browsers like Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer or Chrome or Firefox. All that is possible through the configurations in desktop management. So what are the advantages that you get with this kind of an integration between Service Desk and desktop management? First and foremost, you can update the asset data. So asset data here will be received from Desktop Central. So there are going to be two softwares. One is Service Desk, which can also scan workstations. There's Desktop Central, which can also scan workstations. So now here, Desktop Central is going to take precedence over Service Desk. So all the data that is there in Desktop Central will automatically be updated into Service Desk. You can auto-generate tickets, so which means that if something goes wrong in your desktop, say for example, one of your user has installed a prohibited software, and you can configure rules to automatically uninstall it without user intervention. That is also possible, but you have to keep track of whether he has installed it or not. So that in such cases, you want to get a notification from Desktop Central. So such notifications can be converted as tickets into Service Desk, and this serves as a record for you to show how many prohibited softwares have been installed or uninstalled from Desktop Central. And you can deploy software applications, initiate chat session, and the chat transcript can be converted into tickets. You can log specific events. Not all events that have been reported in Desktop Central be generated as tickets. So you want to choose which one has to be generated as tickets. That is also possible. And as I said earlier in the previous slide, you can remotely control desktops, and you know what the advantages are when you have to remotely control desktops from Desktop Central agent, and you can also deploy configurations. So here, Desktop Central is available in 4 different editions. The UEM edition, the Unified Endpoint Management Edition, is the biggest of all, and it has got the features of Enterprise Edition and Mobile Device Management, Modern Management for Windows 10 devices, and OS deployment. The Enterprise Edition has got WAN bandwidth optimization, self-service portal, prohibited software, software licensing, license management, and much more. And the Professional Edition is a cut-down edition of Enterprise, whereas the Free Edition has got 25 devices for computer management. That is 25 devices for 25 computers for desktop management, and 25 mobile devices for mobile device management. The next couple of slides, I'm going to talk about mobile device management. Sorry. So the free edition is going to have all the features that you would need to test it, and then you can easily move from the free edition to the EUAM edition by applying a license key. So in case if you have any questions on the licensing or the sales part of it or the pricing part of it, do get in touch with our sales team. I'm going to share their email address towards the end of this webinar, or you can also get in touch with the local partners that you from your own regions. Now, let's move on to the mobile device management. So what can you do with mobile device management? First and foremost, you can manage all the mobile devices. It is, as the name suggests, you can manage your mobile devices. It could be Android phones, iOS phones, or Windows phones. You can get information about their IMEI number, their SIM card information, their storage, and much more. The network provider, the 3G or the 4G network provider, that information will also be available when you have to manage those devices. You can do profile management here. A couple of examples come to my mind here when I have to talk about profile management. So you have to say, for example, you have to disable camera or Facebook when someone comes into your organization and gets connected to the Wi-Fi. So you can disable camera, Facebook, or FaceTime within the corporate network. But whereas when they are connected through 4G, all these apps get enabled. And you can also have a passcode for all the enterprise mobile devices. And you can also perform a whole bunch of configurations. Say, for example, you want to configure a proxy, you want to configure a printer, you want to change some settings on your mobile devices. Yes, that's all possible through the profile management. And you can also manage the apps. You can blacklist apps. You can prohibit all the blacklisted apps from being installed on your mobile devices. You can select a list of devices which have to be select a list of apps which have to be forcefully installed, which we call it as enterprise apps. In fact, Zoho has got 10,000 plus employees, and Zoho provides mobile devices to all its employees, and we forcefully have to be connected to our corporate network through these apps. And there is no way that we can uninstall these corporate apps, the enterprise apps. And you can also perform email and content management through mobile devices for the mobile devices. And you can remotely control your Android applications as well, Android mobile device as well. This is done through Zoho Assist, which is a remote control software from our Zoho division, so Zoho software division. And lastly, you can also do some security management here. So what kind of security can be done here is that you can locate the devices, you can enable last mode, and you can see the geolocation coordinates from where the communication happened between the mobile device and the mobile device manager server. And you will also be able to completely wipe off the corporate data or the personal data. So assuming that your mobile device is lost and you want to completely wipe off the data, the first time it is getting connected to 4G or it is getting connected to the corporate network, all the data that you have can be completely erased off from the mobile devices. So here again, Mobile Device Manager Plus is available in 3 different editions: free edition, standard, and professional. The standard starts at $495 per 50 devices, whereas the professional starts at $895 US per 50 devices. And the free edition has got 25 mobile devices for free. The biggest advantage again here is that you can either have it on-premise or on cloud. Now let's move on to the third one, which is network management. So here, what can you do with network management? You can monitor your network devices like routers, switches, firewalls for their performance, like CPU, memory, interface utilization, and much more. You can monitor the servers for their resource utilization, like CPU, memory, disk, process monitoring, script monitoring, event log, file and folder monitoring, and much more. You can monitor physical and virtual servers as well. We have fault management here too, which will help you send notifications to technicians when something goes wrong within the network. There's also workflow automation, which will help you proactively resolve or troubleshoot issues in your day-to-day IT operations. The biggest one here is it can log a ticket into service desk. You can see the process workflow on the right-hand side where an alarm is getting generated in Op Manager. So you monitor your routers and switches or servers, and if something goes wrong here in these devices, an alarm will be generated in Op Manager and it will automatically be raised as a ticket in the service desk. So here, the default technician, category, priority, group, everything is going to be predefined because of this integration between these two applications. And when the ticket is assigned to the technician, if the alarm is getting automatically cleared. So let's take an example here where the CPU utilization on one of the servers is 95%, 99% at 10 a.m. Whereas at 10:15, the second time when it is going to be monitored at 15-minute interval at 10:15, the CPU utilization has gone down to 52. So which means that the alarm will automatically be cleared in Op Manager because it has come down way beyond the threshold. So it's come down below the threshold value of 95%. So the alarm will automatically be cleared. So what happens here is when at 10 o'clock, when there was a violation, threshold violation, a ticket will automatically be raised in service desk. Whereas at 10:15, when the alarm was cleared automatically, the ticket will automatically be closed in service desk. So which means that you don't need a technician to go and manually close those tickets which have been generated from Op Manager. And apart from this kind of an integration, you will also be able to manage your storage devices like RAID, tape library. There's also capacity forecasting and fabric switch management. And you will be able to manage the traffic. You can get reports on the top talker in the network, the source, the destination, the application from which the maximum traffic was generated. You can generate reports on the backup of startup config and running configuration on network devices. So you can see what has changed between the previous backup and the current existing configuration on routers and switches, if lines have been added or modified or deleted. So all this is possible using the network configuration management, and there's also switch port and IP address management and firewall log management in network management. So this is Op Manager that is doing all these functionalities for you under network management. And when you have to do Active Directory, when you have to manage your Active Directory accounts and workflows, so here are the certain activities which you can perform, like create users, unlock accounts, reset passwords, enable or disable accounts, and delete users. So the image that I have put into the center of the screen, I'm sure people who are familiar with ServiceDesk Plus, they know how the screen works. So under the Actions menu, you will have a set of options. So you can see all those options to do your activities in Active Directory will be enabled here. So you can see enable users, create user in AD, reset user password, delete users in AD, disable users. So all these actions that you have to perform in Active Directory are pulled from one of our software, which is called AD Manager Plus. So what can you do with AD Manager Plus? First and foremost, you can do user provisioning. You can add users, delete users, modify users, and you can have users move from one department to the other. All this can be done seamlessly without allowing your technicians to log in into Active Directory. And I don't have to reiterate the importance of Active Directory configuration. And if you allow all technicians to change everything in Active Directory, and you know how chaotic it is going to be, and you will not have reports on who did what, when, and how. So if you have to avoid such questions, it's better you have a process in place, and this process is enabled through AD Manager Plus. So you can have delegation to your technicians, a granular OU-based delegation, where you can allow technicians to do only certain activities on Active Directory and not allow everybody to do everything. And you will also be able to manage file server permissions and Office 365 licenses and users. There's a whole bunch of reporting which is available in Active Directory through AD Manager Plus. You will get reports on NTFS permissions, compliance reports. If you are in banking industry, you will need reports based on PCI DSS, or if you are a health industry, you will need reports based on HIPAA or GLBA or ISO 27001 or GDPR and much more. So based on these compliances, you'll be able to generate some reports from Active Directory. And you can again have automation done here. User onboarding can be automated. The most interesting automation is the automated AD cleanup. I love talking about this. The reason is I have been to many seminars and customer visits. The first question that I ask is, have you got your AD cleaned up? The first answer that I get is no, because they don't have a report on inactive user accounts. Though it is easy to get it through Active Directory, but what do you do with those inactive user accounts? Do you manually go and check their inactivity period and then do some operations after a month? Or do you want to automate it here? Say, for example, if your inactivity period is 6 months, and after 6 months, you want to disable their mailbox. And 30 days after disabling their mailbox, you want to remove their computer accounts. And 30 days after removing their computer accounts, you want to remove them from the distribution list that they have been subscribed to. And 30 days after removing them from all the OUs and distribution lists, you want to delete the user account. So you see that all these activities have to go in succession, but in an automated fashion. So that is where AD Manager Plus is going to help you out. And that is what we call it as AD cleanup. And one fine day, you will have all the stale accounts removed from Active Directory, and you will have everything cleaned up in a better fashion. And you can also set time limits for group membership. And I've already touched upon this delegation, so where you can delegate tasks to technicians based on their level, and you can keep track of what actions they did on Active Directory using AD Manager Plus. And there's a whole bunch of workflows that can be done where you can standardize execution of AD tasks, prevent unauthorized changes in Active Directory, and get real-time ticket statuses through AD Manager Plus. So here again, AD Manager Plus is available in 3 different editions. The free edition has got management for 100 domain objects, and the professional edition starts at $795, whereas the standard starts at $595. And AD Manager Plus is a part of a bigger offering, which is called AD 360. And if you guys have already been familiar with ManageEngine, and if you have already got 2 or 3 products from the Active Directory domain from ManageEngine, I would say the best way moving forward is to go with AD 360. So AD 360 is a combination of AD Manager Plus, AD Self-Service, AD Audit Plus, Data Security Plus, Exchange Reporter Plus, and Recovery Manager Plus. Oh my God, I'm getting exhausted with this list that is there with ManageEngine. Now, so if you have 2 or more products from the Active Directory profile from ManageEngine, I would say just go ahead and talk to the sales team or to your local partner, and then get it moved to AD 360. That's the best way to move it forward. So the next one is about AD Self-Service, where we are going to allow users to reset their own passwords. And again, I have been asking this question to all my participants, to all the participants in my seminars and webinars. If your users can reset passwords on Facebook, Gmail, or their mobile banking application, why can't they reset their own passwords in Active Directory? Why would they have to call the help desk to reset their passwords? And if you as administrators have been resetting user passwords, I think, I'm sorry to say this, we have been doing this mundane job for long, and I suggest that we move a level higher and allow users to reset their own passwords, but keep track of who's resetting what, with added layer of security. So here you can have a two-factor authentication imposed for resetting the passwords or unlocking the account. So what can you do with AD self-service is password management. You can allow users to reset their own passwords or unlock accounts. Users can receive notifications on password or account expiry, and there's a policy enforcer, password policy enforcer, over and above what is available in your Microsoft GPO, and there's also multi-factor authentication. So this AD Self-Service Plus can serve as a directory update or search, and it has got an organization chart, and it will also allow users to subscribe to email groups. And it can serve as an one identity access management solution for integrating or authenticating your users across 300 plus third-party applications. It's going to be the enterprise single sign-on with a password synchronizer, and there's also going to be a two-factor authentication for added security. Here again, AD Self-Service Plus is available in 3 different editions. The free edition has got support for 50 domain users, and the standard and professional edition start at $595 USD and $1195 USD respectively. So if you already have AD Manager Plus and AD Self-Service Plus, as I said earlier, it's better you move to AD 360. And if you have application and database infrastructures to monitor, say you want to know what is the JVM usage on your Java-based applications, or you have to monitor your databases for their performance. You want to know the log file size or status of databases, or how many connections have been done to the databases. So if you have to monitor these, and if you see some intrusion happening here, some internal threat happening here because of these open connections, then you can generate them as tickets into service desk. Say, for example, if the number of open connections from a particular host on your database is greater than 10, you want to mark it as a threat, and then you want to raise it as a ticket into service desk. So this is possible with Applications Manager and Service Desk Plus integration. And Applications Manager can help you monitor your applications like Tomcat, WebLogic, WebSphere, database servers like MySQL, MS SQL, Oracle, DB2, and much more. So, well, moving forward, we also have this password management. This is more into security things. So here again, I would take an example where your technicians are allowed to access all resources at all times and with all accounts. So here, there's no track of who did what configuration changes have been done on your server infrastructure, or say someone has gotten an access into your Exchange or database server and changed the configuration, and you don't know who did all those changes. And if you have to avoid this kind of a scenario, that's when you have to use a request, release, password, or access management workflow. So let me repeat it. It is request, release, request or release, request and release, password, and access management. So which means that anybody who needs access to any of the critical resources will actually request for it from the super administrator. And the super administrator is going to approve this, and he is going to provide an account to log in for the technician. And this account login is going to be time-based. So after the specified time, say the access has been granted for 2 hours, and after 2 hours, the account with which the access was granted can automatically be disabled, or the password for the account can be modified automatically. So here again, the super administrator need not go and manually change the account password or change the status of the account. So everything is going to be done automatic. And within this 2 hours of access, if there has been an inactivity for more than 15 minutes, say for example, the session can automatically be terminated. So that is also possible. So you ensure security at every point of communication between the server and the client. And Here again, you will able to manage all the passwords and accounts which are stored in a vault, and the session that has been initiated by the technician can be recorded for audit and learning purposes. You're going to eliminate manual authentication methods and audit all actions in and around the vault. So all that features that I mentioned to you right now has got integration with ServiceDesk. So all the approval has to be done from ServiceDesk Plus. So when someone requests for an access to a resource, it will be raised as a ticket into ServiceDesk, and a notification will be sent to the super administrator, and he is going to approve it. And once it is approved, the access is granted to the technician. So everything is getting documented into ServiceDesk, and this entire set of features that I told you about, the security features that I told you, is available in PAM 360, which is password privileged account management, or you can also check for Password Manager Pro for these features. Finally, we are into the reporting section. So we have talked about a whole bunch of stuff, starting from desktop management, and then network management, Active Directory, and then self-service password reset. And we talked about application infrastructure monitoring, and then we also had touched upon password management as well. So there's a whole bunch of data apart from what you already have on help desk. So you already have some data on help desk, which talks about the number of tickets which have been closed by technician, who has got the highest first call resolution rate, and who has got the lowest first call resolution rate, who is the constant SLA violator in your organization. So all these reports have to be shown to your management, and you want to get this published in your data center. So you want to know which category of requests has got the maximum number of incidents, or what kind of service requests have been frequently asked by your users. You will also want to know how many password resets have happened, how many desktops are missing the critical patches, and how many alarms have been generated as tickets into ServiceDesk. And you also have to know how many devices have violated the 99.99% availability SLA. So if you want to get all these reports in one single dashboard, that's where you will be using the Analytics Plus software from ManageEngine. And here are some examples that I have captured from Analytics Plus based on the integration with ServiceDesk. So you will have the CIO dashboard, which talks about the areas with highest customer dissatisfaction. The best part of this integration, or the best part of this software, is that it will help you compare a specific metric with what was available last year or last month. Say, for example, if the number of security incidents reported in quarter 1 2020 is just 5, whereas the number of security incidents reported in quarter 4 2019 is 10. So there's going to be a comparison between these two, and you will be able to get some insights into such metrics while looking at those numbers. So you can easily infer what is how your quality of service has improved over the last few quarters or over the last few months, and how this is going to be progressing. So it will help you make some informed and wise decisions. Thereby, it will help you change or convert the data that you have into information, to knowledge, to wisdom. So here, it's going to be an interactive dashboard. So while you publish something to your management, you want to remove the low, medium, and normal priority items from the reports, you can just uncheck from the report, and it will automatically reflect the data. So you don't have to manually write a SQL statement to get what reports have been asked for. Here is another example where it talks about the assets that need attention, assets that were not scanned for 30 days or more, or the assets which have got the highest number of incidents, unlicensed software installations. So all these reports are available in a dashboard. And another example here, which talks about the technician history, quarter-on-quarter comparison of time spent by technicians, year-on-year comparison, average number of technician changes per request. So all these additional technician KPIs that you have to generate is available out of the box. So once you have done the integration between Analytics Plus and ServiceDesk Plus, you will get access to close to around like 40 dashboards and 400 plus reports. And apart from this, Analytics Plus has also got integration with all other modules that I talked about. It has got integration with Desktop Central. It has got integration with Applications Management. It has got integration with AD Manager Plus. So you'll also be able to pull data from your existing databases. So if you already have a CRM database or a sales dashboard, a sales database, you can integrate Analytics Plus with the existing database and get reports out of it. So it can connect to any MySQL, MS SQL, or Oracle database to generate reports. And all these reports can be published in one big dashboard. So with that being said, all along we have been talking about ITSM, IT Service Management, but the world is moving towards Enterprise Service Management. So all the services that you offer is not restricted only to IT. Your other departments like HR, finance, travel desk, legal team, sales, they also offer some services to users. So how are you going to manage the services which are offered from the other departments in a single console? So the challenges here are, how do you onboard all your departments to a single service management platform? And how do you provide autonomy to each of these business functions? Which means each department will have its own SLA, will have its own technicians, will have its own group, category, will have its own knowledge base as well. So how are you going to segregate all these across various departments into one single service desk? Assuming if you don't have one single console for all these, and if you have multiple portals for each of these service functions, see how difficult it is for a user to remember where to go for a particular service. So if you have a facilities department which takes care of your air conditioning, ergonomics, and much more, your technicians, your users will not know whether they have to be addressed to the facilities department or should it be addressed to IT. So the first person they communicate to in an organization is IT. So that is where they always raise everything to the IT, or they raise it to the HR. So if you have to segregate all these incidents and services across various departments into one single console, then the way forward is Enterprise Service Management. And ServiceDesk Plus has got this Enterprise Service Management. The latest edition version that was released is Enterprise Service Management, which has got a unified platform for all your service management needs. And each department will have its own unique service desk instance. So you can have multiple, you can have as many instances as you want. And these instances will have its own SLA, business rules, notifications, technicians, groups, priority, category. Everything can be segregated. Even the knowledge base articles can be segregated between these instances. And most importantly, you can choose which user will have access to which instance. Not all users will need access to all the instances that you have. So you can choose the users who has got access to all instances or one or more instances. And lastly, you can allow all the ITIL best practices to be implemented in other service functions. Say you want to have problem management or change management in facilities department, or you want to have it in your travel desk. That's also possible with by implementing the Enterprise Edition across all instances. So that being said, we are finally towards the end. So for more information on the features and integration, you can visit the website www.servicedeskplus.com. And it's now time for questions. My email address is also published here in case if you need to share your thoughts on this integration story, or if you have any feedback on how this webinar happened, do not hesitate to share it with me. So let's take a quick look at the questions. Do you customize based on activities? I'm sorry, I don't have any idea on what kind of activities are you talking about here. The person who raised this question, Petaris Dolo, if you can elaborate it in the next message, that would be better. While I take time to answer the next question. Has AD Manager license, you already have AD Manager Plus license. Do I need to buy AD 365 or is it for free? Nothing is for free here. So you have to buy, you don't have to actually buy AD 365, AD 360. You can just talk to the sales team. The sales team will be able to change your license from AD Manager to AD 360. So it's just the license, or probably you may have to install AD 360 again and then enable the license for AD Manager Plus alone. But you don't have to buy AD 360 as such. So there's nothing that you have to do. Could you please send me the presentation you just went through in PowerPoint? Yes, we are going to share all the. We are going to share with all the participants the presentation that I used today for you guys in the webinar. Yes, it is going to be shared with you all by end of the day or probably by tomorrow, early tomorrow. A company in business of buying and selling cocoa, for example, can a license be adopted to only such activity? I still have some doubts on this question. A company in business of buying and selling cocoa, for example, okay. Can a license be adopted to it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can customize based on activities as well. Someone is asking me if I can share it as a PowerPoint. That is something which my marketing team has to take a call. I have to check with them. In case if you need PowerPoint presentations, do get in touch with them directly. Can ITSM or ESM be used for medical centers? I would say yes. It is possible. So if you have to use it for medical centers, you'll be just using the incident management and probably the problem and change management as well. Yes, it can be used. You can use both. So you can use both both IT as well as ESM. And I'm overwhelmed with the number of participants here for the webinar. So I would like to thank you heartfully for participating in this webinar. And I hope I made made your time useful. Hopefully you all got the message right here. Let me just wait for a couple of. Let us all wait for a couple of more minutes. Couple of minutes to check if there are any questions. Okay, I think I have a question. Thank you for your time. We'll wait for the sharing of the presentation. Sure, the marketing team is working around the clock to share all the presentations. So Gautam here has joined the webinar as a panelist. So he is going to share the presentations with you. And thank you all again. Thank you for joining this webinar. One last question before I say final thank you. No question at this time. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you all again. I look forward to see you all in another webinar. We are organizing these webinars quite often, and until we all are able to travel freely to all other destinations across the world. And you all know that we are working from India and we are in a lockdown until May 3. So thank you all for making this happen. Thank you, guys.